Now, in this technical demonstration, we're going to focus on rights. Now, a right is going to be applied to a role, and a role will then be assigned to either a user, a group, or a computer. Now, we have to start with the right, however. Now, in this particular demonstration, we're going to focus on rights for Unix systems. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go under the authorization node, and as you can see here, I have a number of options to choose from: role assignments, computer roles, role definitions, Windows right definitions, and Unix right definitions. And this is the one we're going to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one up. And as you can see here, I have additional options for PAM access, commands, and SSH rights. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on commands, and I'm going to select new command. And what we're going to do here, this is going to be a root equivalent command right that we're going to apply for Unix administrators. So in order to do that, we have to start with a name. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to call this one all. Very simple. We're going to go ahead and give it a description. This is going to be root equivalent for Unix commands. And the command that we're going to give it is an asterisk, indicating that all commands are going to be part of this right. We're going to come down to the specific path location, and once again, I'm going to use an asterisk. We're not going to worry about a specific path. We're going to choose all paths. And we're going to click OK. Now, before we do that, we do have additional options. Obviously, a restricted shell, which can be used. We have a run as option. This is where we can use the pseudo equivalent in the Centrify world called DZDo, which you'll learn a little bit about later. We can set up environment variables and specific attributes. But we don't need to make any additional changes here, so we're going to leave all of those intact. This is where we're going to focus our attention. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. So now under commands, I have one for the root equivalent. But the right has to be applied to a role. So the next technical demonstration will demonstrate how we apply this right to a new role. Now, in order to facilitate adding a new right to a new role, we need to first create the role. So let's go ahead and do that. Under the Unix zone, I'm going to go to role definitions. And as you can see here, I have a number of options to choose from. These are predefined roles that are already in place for us. What I need to do is create a new one. So this is going to be one for Unix administrators. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to add a new role. This is going to be called Unix admin. I'm going to call this one root equivalent role for all command rights. Now at this point, I don't have to make any changes. I just simply need to create the role. And in the next technical demonstration, we're going to show you how to add the right. Additionally, there are additional tabs here, of course. System rights gives us the ability to set up password login and non-password SSO logins. Obviously, the user can be set to visible or invisible. I can set up Windows rights that apply to Windows systems, and of course, rescue rights that can also be applied. Under authentication, I can set it up for requiring multi-factor authentication for login. This is going to require the multi-factor authentication through privileged access service or through a third party. If auditing is implemented, we can set the auditing level, and I can also set up custom attributes. But at this point, all I needed was a new role. So let's go ahead and complete this. I'm going to click OK, and now I have a new role. In the next technical demonstration, we're going to bring the Unix right and the Unix role together. Now it's time to complete the role process by adding the right to it. Now earlier, we created a right for root equivalent. We've created a role called Unix admin. So we need to now add the right to the role. So I'm going to simply select the role. I'm going to right click on it and say add right. As you can see here, I have a number of rights that are already pre-populated for me. I can also choose predefined rights. As you can see here, I have specific options available to me. But what I want to use is the command right that I created earlier. So I'm going to press cancel here. I'm going to scroll up to the top, and there is my command right, all. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And that's how you apply rights to a role. Now keep in mind, I could have changed the Unix admin to include multiple rights, such as the login right along with the admin right. But we have to be very careful about how we apply roles to users and groups or other computers. In some cases, we may be applying too much privilege to those users. Now, in this technical demonstration, we're going to kind of close the loop as it relates to rights and roles for users. Now, as mentioned earlier, when we installed the Centrify agent for Windows systems, this is a perfect example. We had to create a role assignment for the Windows login for domain admins in order to allow domain admins to log into the Centrify managed app server. This applied also to the Unix-based systems. So we created a command right, which we then applied to a Unix role definition that we created. So what we're going to do now is we're going to assign these roles to specific groups. So let's do that. So under role assignments, you'll notice I don't have any role assignments within the child zone itself. I'm going to right click and assign a role. And we're going to start with the Unix login role. Now be very careful here. We may need to expand this column because you'll notice that we have not only a Unix login role for Unix zone, but we also have one at the global zone. So be very careful about how you apply specific roles because you don't want to give out too much privilege. So here we'll go ahead and select the one for the Unix zone. We'll go ahead and click OK. And now we need to apply it to Active Directory accounts. Now for this demonstration, we're only going to focus on two groups, the IT group and our contractors group. So I'm going to go ahead and click Add Account, and I'm going to change this to Group. And we're going to go ahead and narrow our search. And we're going to select the IT group and the contractors group. And we'll click OK. Now these have been assigned the Unix login role, which means they can now log in to those systems that are in the zone. Now keep in mind, this just gives them the ability to log in. They can't administer or use privilege at this point without having specific root access or the capability of using sudo. Now let's go ahead and give them the admin controls that we need, and we're going to narrow this down. Contractors don't need admin, but the IT group does. So let's go ahead and create a new role assignment, and this is going to be for the Unix admin role that we created earlier. You'll notice this one is all by itself in the Unix zone. There isn't a second one because we didn't create it in the global zone. I'll go ahead and click OK. Once again, we're going to add an AD account or group. Now I'm not going to filter this because I'm going to use two specific groups that have different names. So I'm going to start with my Centrify administrators group. So we'll select that one. And then I'm going to scroll down and locate the Omicron IT group. And we'll go ahead and click OK. Now, as you can see here, I do have specific groups assigned, and we'll click OK. And now the roles have been applied to the Unix systems that are in the zone. Now, I can apply role assignments at the individual computer level, but be careful. In some cases, you may be granting too much privilege and you may be promoting lateral movement. So be very cautious about that. In this case, these role assignments are applied specifically to the zone, so any computer that I add will automatically have these assignments. Now, anytime that we apply rights or roles to users or groups, we should also be checking the effective user rights to make sure that just enough privilege is being granted. This can be done a number of ways from the standpoint of where you are in the zone structure. For example, if I want to look at just the app server on the Windows, in the Windows zone, I can right click on the app server and show effective user rights. As you can see here, the administrator and Alex Foster, who is a domain admin, do have the ability to log in, but no one else does. If we look at Unix systems, for example, the payroll system, you'll notice that we do have a number of users listed for the payroll system. If we look at role assignments, we can now see who has the ability to log in and administer. and who only has the access to log in. As you can see here, Laura Bennett only has the ability to log in. So administering the Unix system is not one of her privileges. If we look further up at Alex Foster, however, Alex Foster has the ability to log in and administer, and it's listed twice because Alex Foster belongs to two specific groups. Now that we've established the effective user rights, let's go ahead and test this. As you can see here, Alex is already listed. He does have role assignments. But more importantly than this, I'm going to exit this window. Alex is listed here under my users, and this is because he had a local profile that we imported. So the login process will be more localized because he does have a local account already established. But you'll notice that Laura Bennett is not listed anywhere in this list. So let's go ahead and see if Laura Bennett can now log into the help desk server based on the role assignment that we've applied. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and try to log in as Laura Bennett. Apply her Active Directory password. And as you can see here, it's created her home directory, and now I can log in.